Hello YouTube, and may I wish you all a happy new year. So today I'd like to talk to you about self-hosting your own DayZ server. None of this nitrado nonsense, no monthly subscription expenses, and the only real cost is your own electricity bill. So how difficult is it for you to host your own server? Well, firstly, you'll need a spare PC. And maybe this isn't something that you have laying around. Although I would guess that many of you, if you've upgraded your PC, it is conceivable that you have an older computer laying around gathering dust. Now, I imagine if you have a really powerful computer, then maybe you won't need a spare PC. You may be able to self-host your own server and play the game using your supercomputer. However, you will need to remember, if you choose to do that, that your own PC will be accessible from the internet. So I would try to advise against doing that if at all possible. I've hosted my own DayZ server since the middle of 2022, and I don't think it's that difficult to do so. Let me walk you through the steps, and who knows, maybe you'll save yourself some money by doing this yourself. So we're in on our newly installed operating system, and we're doing a Google for making a DayZ server. And there's a lovely result here from Ionos.
Digital partner, Ionos.
And it basically says about how to do it, but in a slightly different manner. It's kind of like how to do it on their system, or parts of it are how to do it on your own. So we're going to skip straight through to step 2, which is install Steam from the command line. It's the command line version of Steam. Install SteamCMD. Don't worry about the forbidden. I was just testing to see if the file was still there, and it is. So we can download that now. And that's in our download folder. So as with everything, I tend to copy it to my desktop and then clear the download history and then close all that. So basically it's a case of downloading the zip file, the compressed file, and extracting the compressed file and making a directory to put it into. The suggested one is SteamCMD, but you can obviously use anything of your choosing. So we've double clicked it and it starts to unpack itself and download the most up-to-date version from the cloud, Steam itself. And as you can see, as it's downloading, it's populating in the window, in the Explorer window behind. And there we have the Steam prompt, which means we're up and running in Steam command line Steam. Now, this is saying on the instructions to log in using your username. Now, bearing in mind this is a publicly accessible server. In the past, on my own other server, I've logged in as anonymous, and I've had various success with that. Some things work, some things used to work and now don't work. But it's always worth doing on a public machine is to try doing an anonymous log on to Steam. Every time you possibly can, you want to be logging in as anonymous, so it's not saving any of your credentials on this computer that's basically open to the internet. So in that case, I tried to log in as Steam Anonymous. I chose to use a directory which was capital servers, with the idea of hosting more Steam game servers from this public computer. So again, you can choose just to drop everything into the one folder, but I chose to separate them. So following the instructions are from Ionis. They're saying to type this force install directory command, which, as you can see, it actually wants you to do that before you log on. So that's a slight change in the Ionis instructions. So I've logged off again to do the same command and right-click, copying the directory in, and then logging back on. So the 223350 is the Steam number for the DayZ. So we're updating the DayZ installation. As you can see, failed to install app 223350, no subscription. So I presume this bit is because I'm logging on as anonymous, it doesn't know if I own DayZ on Steam. So at least the first time, I'm going to have to actually log in using my actual Steam credentials to validate that I own DayZ, for then this to download DayZ from. So I'm actually going to log off from the anonymous account and log in from my own account, and I'm going to be blurring that information out. Now I can try to download the DayZ again from my actual account, and I've got this going at ×2 speed for now, and then I think it's about 3%. I realise it's going really slow, so I think I speed it up to 25 speed. from 3%, which makes it go a bit quicker. The last DayZ 223350 installed on the Steam command line. So I can log out now and quit. Next thing is the port forwarding. I can't really go into detail on how to port forward on your own router. You've got to port forward. Standard ports are 2302 to 2305 on the UDP, and there's 27016 as well, which is like the query port. So basically, you make an entry in your own router for those port numbers, and you forward them to the IP address of your server. So you will have to create a static IP address, IP4 IP address, which, I mean, there's plenty of videos how to do it. It's generally right click on the network and go into the properties and set it as that. But your server will have a static IP address, and then you'll port forward those ports to the static IP address. And what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to create a batch file in game servers DayZ. But as you may be aware, if you right click new and go into Notepad, it defaults to creating a text file. So I've created the new text file, which is new text document. And now I'm going in and I'm saving an empty document as start-dayz-server.bat, B-A-T. And I've changed the save as file type from txt, again, which is default, to all files. And then I've just deleted the txt file. So it's a quicker way than actually opening up Notepad and then typing what I want to type, and then file save as, and then like finding the location I want to save it in as. So like game servers and DayZ. So now I'm copying and pasting the launching command, which obviously with my large font has overspilt. So I'm just toggling that so you can see it. So the command that's running is start, which is obviously a Windows like run command, and then it's running the DayZ executable, the DayZ server x64 executable file. But that's in a different directory to where my batch file is. So I need to actually add the path to where that file is. So I've gone to where that file is, right click, and I'm just copying the directory, and you don't need the C colon and the additional slash. So that is the correct path to where the DayZ server executable file lives. We have the DayZ server dayz.config in that folder as well, so that's perfect. And the profiles, again, if I was to run it like that, it would create another DayZ-server off of the root. So I'm just going to point it all in the same place. So SteamCMD servers, DayZ, and then DayZ server profiles. So I'm trying to run the DayZ server, and this is a new installation of an operating system. And I'm getting an msvcp140.dll file not found message. And as with a lot of files that I'm unfamiliar with, I will just Google the file name straight off, msvcp140.dll. And then I'll just summarize the results that are coming out to try and work out what it is. And then just in those first few results there, I'll find it in a second. There we go. So it belongs to a Microsoft Visual C++ redistribution package. So basically the Visual C++ is missing some of its instructions because this is a newly installed operating system. So we need to install it. This is also complaining about runtime and other programs, which we will get to. But it won't run without these. And this is running on a 64-bit platform, so I'm downloading the 64-bit release. Once again, once it's downloaded, I will be clearing my history and copying it over to the desktop.
Once again, the powers of the open up the mind.
The program, when it ran, was trying to run a command script, so it was trying to run terminal, and then it errored. So now I'm trying to close the terminal window that opened, and it's unresponsive. So I'm firing up Task Manager, and I'm looking on the left-hand side for terminal. And then when I find terminal, I'm going to force close it. Right-click, force close, end task. I didn't actually think it was doing anything, but it was. It was just a lag on the server. So now we can install Visual C++. Fast forward this bit because it takes a little bit of time. Try and run our batch file again. Let's come up with a different error this time. XAPO fx1_5.dll, and that one was a new one to me, so I had to Google that myself. Just perusing the information that's there without clicking into anything, and we find that it's a file relating to the Microsoft DirectX. So we're just doing a Google for DirectX, and we will install DirectX on this operating system. As usual, I think it's a good habit to copy things to my desktop, so I'm aware of them. I don't go down a rabbit hole and forget about them, and then wiping away the history. So now we can run the DirectX setup. course you agree to the agreement, and of course you do not agree to install the Bing bar. Dun dun dun. By the magic of editing, we can speed up the installation. It does take quite a while, this one. I mean, chances are you won't have to install either C++, redistribute, or DirectX, because chances are you already have them installed. But this was a completely new operating system, and I wanted to show you all the possibilities to get the server running. I did pause it here because that was the same file that it was complaining about initially when we tried to run the server. And that's got DirectX installed. Wonderful. So now for the third time we will try and run the server. And this time we get the little tick boxes. So the server is running. The very first run, it will come up with some interesting errors, like this particular one, #str_user file does not exist. First time it runs through, it will create a lot of files, and then subsequent runs through, you won't have as many errors. So then the Ionis says, then you can join the DayZ server you created. Again, not quite as simple as that, because you need to crash the server out first and then rerun the server. But we will get to that. Now I'm opening a Explorer window because I was under the impression I'd be able to see files populating in the server, and maybe I could, but not from this particular directory where I've left it. So kind of disregard that Explorer window for now. So the server is continuing to load in the background. Look for the 3 exclamation marks. They're issues, shall we say. I mean, it will still run, it will still work, and you may have seen vehicle parts there. I mean, that's an inbuilt problem with the server, even running default and stock. I mean, again, I will get round to solving that for you. So I'm creating a text file on the desktop of startup errors, and there's two main ones that we will address. A lot of those is hard to place, performance drops. I mean, I'm presuming that's because it's the very first run. Now, when you get to these 2 lines, which is initializing sequence finished, entering in saved process, it's up and running. Server's there. So congratulations, you've installed a DayZ server. And before I forget, there is a correct way of shutting down your DayZ server. So I thought I'd better mention that here. So I've just created a new shortcut here, and I've named it Stop DayZ Server. The target is what I've actually got down here, so you can see it. It's basically taskkill.exe, and in memory DayZ server x64.executable. So you just pop that in there and OK that, and when the server's running, double clicking that will crash the server out. And I'm going to leave this video short now because I know that the time's getting on, but I will do a part 2 and probably a part 3 as well to go through those startup errors. So, thanks for watching YouTube.